Good morning, and we're back with Shades of Green on KDWN 720 AM in Las Vegas. Our guests today, Ciara Byrne and Kim Macquarrie, are talking about a gardening program with the schools. So we're learning all about how the children learn all about agriculture and a lot more. So how did the program evolve into what it is today?
Well, like we mentioned before, we called it our program the Accidental School Garden Program, because we actually had no intention whatsoever of getting the school garden arena there. But what we had was we created a website, a crowdfunding website, and the fellow who made it for us, Jeff Newbern, he wanted us to do a local, try to raise money for a local green project. And so we thought we'd try a school, because the school had contacted us. And once that money got raised, a few other schools heard about it, and they started to raise money on our platform. Before you knew, we had like 10 schools that raised money. And then we were kind of surprised when some of the first schools came to us and said, well, do you have a curriculum? And we said, what do you mean, do we have a curriculum? And they said, well, we don't have to. We said, don't you have a curriculum? He said, no, we don't have any curriculum. We need a curriculum with Nevada State standards so we can take our students out there and teach in the garden. And we were kind of thunderstruck by that, and so we scratched our heads and we decided to go out and apply for a grant. We applied for a grant with the American Honda Foundation. We got that, and we hired 12 teachers, and they created over a 6-month period the first curriculum to Nevada State standards and next-gen standards for pre-K through 5th grade.
And we did it with our partner 3 Square.
We did it with our partner 3 Square, yeah. Exactly.
And the important thing was that it was to next generation science standards and Nevada State standards. That had never been done before in Nevada.
So we did that, and we thought, well, that's the end of that. And then the next thing you know, some teachers came to us and said, well, what do we do with our food? We just got all these vegetables here. What do we do with it? And we couldn't believe they didn't know what to do with their food. So you don't know what to do with your food? And they said, no, we have no idea. And again, we looked at each other and said, well, maybe we should try a farmer's market. And so they tried the first farmer's market, John S. Park Elementary School, in fall of 2013. And that was the first one ever been conducted by students in Nevada, as far as we know. And last year we had schools create about 125 farmers markets, and there'll probably be 150 this year. So that kind of took off. And that's kind of how our program was driven. It was driven by teachers coming to us and asking us for things. What do we do with our food? Can we do a farmer's market? Do you have any chefs available? We said, no, of course we don't have any chefs available. Now we have a big chef program. How about hydroponics? That's the most recent thing. And we said, we don't know anything about hydroponics. So, well, can you help us? And we said, well, okay. And now we have a hydroponics program. We just put in 2 hydroponics units this last year, and we're going to put in 10 more in the next few months. So it's the Accidental Garden Program driven by teachers. In a sense, the teachers have been the program directors / CEOs driving our program. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as they have enormous appetites for innovation, it turns out.
So tell us about the gardens themselves. How do you get them started? What do they look like? How do you build them? Who's building them?
So we build them with our team. Our build manager is Steve Black. He's awesome. He's got 30 years experience working in construction and landscaping. And essentially, when a school gets in touch with us, Kim actually goes out and meets with the principal and a team of teachers. And when the principal says to us, we really, I'd love to have a garden at my school, and how does that happen? The key thing that Kim explains how our program works, from the farmers markets, the curriculum, the chef program, and so on. But he says to them, the only thing you really need to do as a principal is you need to form a garden team of teachers, and that's 1 teacher from each grade level needs to be on this garden team. And that's the team that's going to drive the program at the school. And that's really critically important. Our goal is when we go into that school, by the end of year 2, beginning of year 3, every teacher in that school should be teaching outside the children 1 hour a week. So every kid at that school should be learning science, engineering, math, English. It doesn't really matter what they're learning, but whatever they're learning, they're doing that outside once a week for an hour. Because when you look at the studies that have taken place all across the United States over the last 20 years, the changes take place in health. So students' health improves, their test scores go up. All that stuff only happens if you're out there an hour or more a week. So that's what our goal is. So this garden team of teachers at the school, they're making the decisions. What are we going to do with the harvest, right? It's April right now, May. We're harvesting in most of our schools. And those teachers are deciding, oh, let's bring a chef in. So then Greener Planet organizes a chef. Let's run a farmer's market. We help them run a farmer's market. So that's the team that drives everything. So Kim meets with the teacher and that team at the very beginning, and he explains that essentially when we go into the school, we'll remove 5,000 square feet of grass, and that's really important to build a garden. because by removing 5,000 square feet of turf, this, SNWA refers to it, one of our key partners, the Southern Nevada Water Authority, they actually give the school a rebate of about $10,000, and that money we use to build the garden. So that's essentially roughly how we do it.
So let me get this straight. You remove 5,000 square feet of turf, SNWA gives you a rebate, and you use that money to build the garden, and you save water in the process.
Yes, we save the school 250,000 gallons of water a year. So right now across the 111 schools where we work, we're saving the school district about almost 22 million gallons of water a year.
I think that's pretty helpful for the valley. So this is a self-funding program, basically, through the rebates.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, there's more to it than
The
that.
rebate helps enormously. The school still has to raise some money, that
so
kind
it
of thing,
doesn't.
but
The rebate doesn't fully pay for the garden, but
it fully
what
pays for the
percentage would you
garden,
say
but not
pays for it?
necessarily, because they have a farmer. We pay a farmer to go out every week. We have a farming team, and the farmer goes out to the school once a week and does a farming class with the teachers and the students. Because, as you probably would imagine, it's not like teachers and principals know how to farm, right? Because our desert environment hasn't encouraged people to be growing food in their backyard. That's an unusual thing. So what's led, we believe, to the success of our program is the farmers going out and working with the kids and the teachers and teaching them how to grow the food, troubleshooting any problems that may arise, whether it's irrigation breaking or aphid infestation. So we don't let that hold back the teachers teaching in the garden, because the farmer's out there troubleshooting and making sure everything is going okay. But we have to pay for that, and so that's what the schools have to raise money for that part of the program.
yeah, we also assign a coordinator who goes out once a month and attends the garden team meetings, that kind of thing, and they're the person that's in charge of disseminating all the knowledge to the teacher, to the teaching team. So there's a big learning curve. But by the end of the first year, teachers begin with knowing nothing about horticulture and how to do a farmers market, what a chef program is. At the end of the year, they know how to do all that stuff, including the kids. So at the end of a year working with us, they pretty much can run the garden program on their own, and that's the goal.
Mm.
So that's pretty interesting. You actually have a farmer that comes in and works in each one of these gardens and checks it, what, a weekly basis or
Yep.
something? And
Mm-hmm.
just checking out for problems, bugs, and I do a little gardening myself, and I know bugs can be a problem.
Yeah.
And you want to take care of them naturally. You don't want to spray a bunch of chemicals
Yeah,
out
we
there.
don't
That kind
use
of defeats the
pesticides.
purpose.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So this is all organic,
Mhm.
if you will.
Yep.
And which a lot of people may not understand. That organic just means you're not spraying with a bunch of herbicides and pesticides,
Yep.
and you use natural methods of controlling bugs and weeds and that kind of thing. Like
Yep.
get out there and pull the weeds out by
Yep.
hand.
Exactly.
I learned my gardening techniques 100 years ago from Mother Earth News and the whole Earth catalog. So this is good stuff. What do the gardens actually look like? Are these in the ground? Are they raised beds? How does that work?
The raised bed gardens, the typical garden package we put in a school is 6 raised bed gardens, 8 feet by 4 feet. They're made out of brick. We get a lot of materials donated or at low cost because we're nonprofits, so that's why we're able to offer a really low cost package. But that includes 6 raised brick bed gardens, soil, irrigation, automatic timer, seeds,
9 trees.
8 or 9 fruit trees. We have a mini orchard as well. And that's in a space of roughly 5,000 square feet. So there's plenty of room also to expand. So usually schools start with like 6 beds, but over time, for example, Desert Oasis High School started with 6 beds. They have 20 beds 3 years ago. Now they have 23 beds. They have a full orchard. They're building a kitchen. They've created their own special needs curriculum. So the nice thing about these gardens is that once you get it in, they kind of grow, you used a pun, but organically over time. There's a natural growth. They never stop evolving the program.
So you've standardized these gardens, so now you're kind of cookie cuttering them into each school.
Yes.
That's great. That makes it
We
so.
perfected the format. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We're going to go to break here for a couple minutes, and we'll be right back to Shades of Green on KDWN.